KO.
Welcome back to Triple KO, the All Fighting Game podcast. I am with, of course, Maximilian Dood, who's recovering from last night's Virtua fighting.
I'm a recovering Virtuaholic.
And, of course, Justin, I have switched to Grapplers Wong. Hey,
whoa.
Damn, what about your laurels,
crazy.
Justin? What happened?
That's crazy. I don't know what you're talking about when it comes to that.
When you praise a grappler, it now means you love grapplers. So
I'm assuming you're talking about Tizok.
I'm still talking about it.
Yep, he was pretty fun. I don't know if he still has the same shenanigans when the full game comes out, but
not.
I guess we shall see.
No way, I hope so. So then you'll keep playing him because it's fun to me. Speaking of fun, a lot of fun happening in the Tampa Never Sleeps Virtua Fighter 5 Revo tournament that Sega was promoting and Max was hosting. I caught the grand finals, so I missed some of the action from earlier. But that Gene, huh? That Gene.
Yeah. Dude, him and Gene is the GOAT. Like, apparently he did the same thing in previous tournaments as well, just like tore it up. You know, and I heard from the VF heads at the end when he was like, oh, Himogene's the one. And people called him a Japanese import because he's playing from Canada. So it's like, oh, this Canadian dude's amazing. And it's like, oh, he's actually a JP player. Technically, he's a Japanese import. So it's like he's playing on a crazy ass level when all these other players are playing on a crazy ass level.
Yeah, and he was like, when I tuned in, I was like, who the fuck is this? I don't know a ton about Gene. I've only played him once or twice, but I'm just like, this seems like a cool character I'll pick up one day. But
he's Jin
he
Kazama.
was doing shit. Yeah.
Gene is literally in VF5 like the Jin Kazama in that game. So you know his power is that he can charge buttons and make himself mad plus at the end of it, or lead to big counter hit states or stun states and stuff. So it's like he's a naturally very easy to use and oppressive character. I know because I started with him when Ultimate Showdown came out. And I'm like, oh my God, this guy's so easy to use. Holy hell. This stuff just works. It's nuts.
The weird thing is that I saw some people that still in chat that still didn't why are there Tekken characters? And I guess Sega did not advertise that Tekken collaboration pack all that much because people thought there were mods, and I thought that was funny.
No, that's just the same pack from the PS4 version. Yeah.
I think you said it. This is the biggest online Virtua Fighter 5 tournament that has ever existed. 327 people.
327 people showed up. Within a night. We announced it about a week ago. So the whole idea behind this is that Sega came to me and they're like, we really want to push we really want to push VF5 Revo on PC. I'm like, yeah, okay. So what ways can we do it? I'm like, well, I've run this tournament series for a while. And, the whole point of it is to actually highlight games that aren't the forefront of the community. Ones that are not the shining beacon, top 3, top 4, top 5 games that always get viewership and stuff. And I've personally told them Virtua Fighter is the shining definition of it because it is a community that has been playing the same thing for 15 years.
Yeah.
And they love it so much that Virtua Fighter 5 is a forever fighting game. Not every fighting game is going to be a forever fighting game for, what we know as the fighting game community, but some games definitely are. And Virtua Fighter 5 is clearly that. So the whole goal of the tournament was to, in the same way with all the other lives events that we've done for MVC2 and MKX and MVCI or whatever, KI, just to put the community at the forefront. So I told Sega that, where it's you know what, I want to help out with this, but I don't want to be the focus of it. I want the focus to be on the players and the people that have been playing this stuff for the longest, which has always been the goal. Going back to the even Ultimate Marvel 3 assist me thing, let's show what's going on over here, dude. People are playing Ultimate Marvel 3 online, making a community during COVID. This is crazy. It's so cool. And to me, that community finally got to thrive because Revo on PC's netcode is actually good. It was rough in day one. Don't get me wrong. It was pretty rough. But there's been 4 patches since then. Apparently it's running really good now. So it's sort of under the guise that I know what this leads to, This leads to Sega's trying to obviously get people to buy Revo on PC. They're obviously trying to get people to join their Virtua Fighter Discord. But I'm we know where the future goes. To me, I'm always forward looking 2, 3 4 years ahead type shit. So to me, this is oh, all right, let's show them. You know, if they're concerned that like, I wonder if Virtua Fighter has enough of like a community of people that really care, even from like the competitive standpoint. Do people even show up for us to support esports outside of Japan? You know, do people even show up? And it's like, all right, here we go. That's like a call sign to me, like Virtua Fighter heads. This is it, bros. Like, this is the moment. Like, if we're going to be out here to impress, like, you know, the big heads at Sega and stuff like that, that this stuff is possible. They're throwing in stuff for prizing. I'm throwing in stuff for prizing just because I want to. I make sure to hire like TNS because I know they're going to run a smooth ass tournament. Dude,
Yep.
4 hours, 300 people. It was a 4-hour tournament, 300 people down to a top one. Like, it's insane. So
That's a regular day for them. They literally run tournaments every day.
They
Every
do that
day is a
literally with like
different game.
every game, every single week, like multiple times a week with that many people. So it's like they knew. So, yeah, like there were several facets where I'm just like, we do this, we do this, we do this. You want a good tournament? Let's just do all this. I'll restream it on my end. I don't want to be a commentator. I want to put people that actually do this shit in the commentary position. I'll commentate from my end. And yeah, we had like a 16,000 viewer grand finals.
I was going to ask.
Nice.
Yay, it worked. And it was like, it was sick. Several people were like, why is, and I think there's also like a thing we'll talk about leaning into this. There's also a little bit more, I'd say, reluctance to be harsh on VF based on what's happening with Tekken right now. There's a little bit more of like a narrative that some people are spinning that like, actually this game is really cool now, when they might not have ever been paying attention before, you know?
Oh, yeah. I see that on the timeline. All the Tekken 8 players are playing Tekken Tag 2, Tekken 6. I mean, we could talk about that later. But I think the coolest part about this is obviously you're running a tournament because in NA, there's not really ever a big tournament for Virtua Fighter 5. Obviously, Japan, they're always running tournaments. They have Beat Tribe every year.
You have to wait till like Evo Japan or some unique team tournament or something.
Right, but like this was like I think one of the first ones that like people were like, "Hey, we have this like spotlight. Finally, we're not just playing in the corner where it's just only like 8 of us.
Yeah,
but literally 327 people around America came, and even some of the names I recognize besides him and Gene, like Gentleman Thief, he's been going
there's a lot. Denkai's in there.
All the majors. Yeah. Denkai Rodnuts from New York. He was like the main Akira guy that people looked up to like 20 years ago.
These are like VF3, VF4 players. Like not everybody showed up. I wish there was even some more people, but obviously like time constraints and stuff, it was only announced about a week before. I completely understand, but like when push came to shove, like that community showed up, and I feel like I owed it to the VF community just in general, because if anybody has been around a multitude of FGCs, you know, or have had to be involved directly with communities of games, dude, the VF community, my God, they're like the sweetest, most nicest, most welcoming. Like, well, we just want to show you why our game's cool. Like, that's the sort of thing that they've always been. So that they've always been that with me in my chat, in my channel, like. Every one of them, if Virtua Fighter comes on or something, or are playing an old one, they're just always there. They immediately show up to like support in some way. So it's like, yeah, that means a lot. Like, this is the sort of like supportive community stuff that had got me interested into wanting to learn more and learn other characters and stuff like that. The way they acted had an influence on me. So this is just like my way of like, okay, so let's get everybody to show up to show what you guys really can do. And they did. They legit did.
It's funny that like a game with a traditionally very high like wall to kind of surmount, to get into its mechanics, to get into it, it needs to have a really welcoming community to like help people get over that wall, right?
So the interesting thing about like that, and I've learned a lot whenever I discuss VF with people that don't see it or they only have seen Tekken, right? Which is a lot. Like, a lot of people don't know how 3D fighting games work that aren't Tekken. Yeah. So it's like, what is this? What do you even do? You know? What the hell? Like, so many people ask, what the hell is neutral in this game? It's like, okay, these are the good conversations, and then you got to start introducing the VF triangle. That like, this game has rules, bro. Like, there's a harsh rules system that if you ever are trying to throw somebody, you could be punched out of it. Like, it immediately nullifies like the throw 99% of the time outside of unique case situations. And if you sidestep and somebody strikes you, it's a sidestep, but it's also technically a parry. The sidestep only engages if the strike came out. So you get a lot of like, oh, this beats this, that beats that, but this beats that. Like rock, paper, scissors gameplay all over the place. And I told people like, those systems go all the way until the very end, but they get really refined in the end because you're moving at such a fast pace, right? So describing what makes VF interesting, and I'm like, don't take my word for it. I'm just going to show you some crazy shit in these matches, just in general, when we got the top to 16. And dude, people were like mind blown by like, holy crap, this is insane. Like the amount of like bouncing back and forth. I'm like, this dude's got 10% life, but his back is to the wall. He's about to die. Like positioning is so important. It's like, and just echoing those thoughts and those reasons why the game is cool. There's no comeback mechanics, bro. Like everything about the game is designed for you to fight each other, not to be technically waiting. Waiting is bad. Like attacking is good. Like whoever's acting is actually at a much bigger advantage than whoever's not acting. So explaining those concepts to people is like weird, but it's like, trust me, just watch. And then they watch like insane matches and they're like, oh, wow, people are like, this game's kind of doing what Tekken's trying to do. And I'm like, yes, I've been saying that ever since Tekken 8 was shown that, yes, they're trying to Virtua Fighter Tekken in some way, but they're trying to like shove it in there.
Yeah, you mentioned attacking is good. And it's like I know every fighting game now, they want to improve offense and everything where aggression is key. But the way Virtua Fighter tags on attacking is good is that defense is also very good as well too. Yeah. So it's like, it's literally like, it's not like offense is stronger than defense by like 70-30. They're pretty much tied even because of the rock, paper, scissors system that they implemented. So like while other fighting games like Street Fighter 6, Tekken 8, and modern fighting games are coming out, where offense is probably like 70-30, 80-20, that type of thing. Sure. So it just looks really cool. When somebody is sidestepping the strikes and then also breaking throws at the same time, like that is so exciting to watch in first part because even though there's no giant like explosion or slowdown, you see the sidestep and it's like so impactful when it dodges a strike. It's just really amazing.
It looks like a ballet when things are going. It looks like an actual martial arts fight. I think, and this is the thing I want to talk to you guys about. This is like the funny thing about what's happening with modern fighting games is that guesses are a big part of endgame, right?
Guesses.
Endgame is either 50-50 or RPS. And yeah, Virtua Fighter, like every engagement is technically rock, paper, scissors, you know? So I think the difference in a game of what's happening right now, why there's a little bit of animosity about what the high level of fighting games is boiling down to, especially because of the Tekken Street Fighter situation, is that Street Fighter is obviously RPS. Like its systems are meant to counter systems. And I think Street Fighter does a really good job at communicating what lost. Like, oh, you know, bro, I tried to parry on Wake Up. You threw me. I lost a lot of damage. We all see exactly what happened there, you know? Yeah. Or I did DP and you blocked it or parried it. We see exactly. It does a very good job at communicating that stuff. Tekken, not so much. Like Tekken boiling down 50-50 situations, we'll talk about it, doesn't do a really good job at visually communicating, I don't know what I'm supposed to do, or I don't understand what happened to me, or I don't even know what I did to them. Like, it's just, things are just sort of happening, bro.
I don't know what I did to them.
But I think one of the bigger criticisms that we're sort of feeling out in the community and the hardcore community, people that have to put, you know, thousands of hours into each one of these games now because it is their profession, is that they're forced into these situations where the highest level of the game is a guess, right? It is a 1/3 guess in Street Fighter. It's mostly a 50-50 guess in things like Tekken. But the rest of the game is not that. Like, the whole game isn't that. It pretty much leads to this moment where it's just like, oh God, I have to wake up in Street Fighter now. Time to guess. You know, it's time to like figure out what their Oki is going to be. Is it going to be meaty? Is it going to be this? Is it going to be that? Like, do I parry? Do I not? And it's usually 1 in 3 answers is going to be right. Like 1 in 3 is going to work in Street Fighter. So the game leads up to that. Tekken, the same thing. Eventually, giant plus on block homing mid is going to lead me to a moment where I can't even sidestep. I just have to guess. Like, here's my 50-50. But the rest of the game is not exactly that. It's like jousting and figuring stuff out. But then it boils to this moment. Like, the boiling point is like those things. Virtua Fighter, there's no boiling point. It's the whole game. The whole game is just like, so we just have to make reads against each other constantly. Like, I can be +8. That doesn't matter because you can sidestep the next attack. Like, do I know that you know that I know? Like, Virtua Fighter is constantly that. It is every single interaction is, I know, but you know, but do you think I know? Like, it's that thing that people love about Tekken so much, and which is kind of going away. So I can see why, like, to anybody that's looking at this stuff, they look at rock, paper, scissors, like, oh, all a Virtua Fighter is that sucks. But it's like, in practice, it doesn't. In practice, when you're playing the game, it engages the shit out of you because you may have made one wrong RPS decision. No time to dwell on that, dude. In the past 2 seconds, there's been 4 more. No time to just sit here and think about it. Like in the Street Fighter, oh, burned out. Oh, God, this. Or Tekken, oh, heat engager. I'm just sitting here. Man, I made a really bad guess. And now I have to watch this shit, you know?
And I think Virtua Fighter also like is constantly engaging you. Like you can do stuff like, you know, very quickly. Even though there are like technically some big combos here and there, it's not really about that. Where it's like Tekken and especially Street Fighter is like a lot of shit going on. You can't do anything about it because if you've been hit and you have to just kind of wait for your turn. Like Virtua Fighter, it just moves so quickly, damage is so high. Rounds start so fast. It is
no time to think about it, dude.
No time to think about it. Exactly.
You need to stop dwelling on like. I feel like there's these moments that happen in Tekken 8 and Street Fighter 6 specifically, in like modern fighting games where you get time to dwell. You know, my ass is just going to sit here and fume about what I did and why I'm here now while I'm watching this. Exactly. You know. And VF that doesn't happen, dude. If you got hit by some big ass combo in VF that leads to a wall stun. Round's over. Round 2. Okay, let's go. Like, let that shit happen again.
Like in previous podcasts, whenever we like kind of mention like, oh, Virtua Fighter might be coming back, and we kind of jokingly say like, oh, I want level 3 supers or some crazy shit. Like it's always kind of in jest. It's like if they balance in some way, it's like maybe, but it's like environmental interaction is about as far as I'd want it to go in terms of spectacle. You know, like that's about it. I agree. That's realistic, at least.
I think environmental interaction and some moment to moment interaction. I think. There's spots where VF could do better job at communicating and showing how cool that was. You know, like somebody just micro ducked this goddamn throw and then punish them. Like there could be moments in here that can make this really cool. That can like solidify. Oh, that just happened. Something really cool just happened. I think that will be the goal of the new VF. Personally, I don't think they want to take it to some crazy level, but I think they want to show you. In these moments, let's create moments out of this stuff, you know?
Yeah, you did something sick.
You did something sick, yeah.
Yeah, because VF5 shows that, but it's just like sometimes
it's too fast.
If a person doesn't, it's too fast. So if an average person is watching it, they don't see how cool that is.
Yeah.
Like even Virtua Fighter replays like show like literally like the last 2.5 seconds of like something, but you couldn't see how it started or how like the two players were engaging right before that, you know?
I learned this. They call them hyper replays at the end of a Virtua Fighter round. If you land a sick hit for the final hit, it goes boom, boom, boom. It's like I call it the Ghost in the Shell replay. So I'm like, this is really neat. I wonder if you could do stuff like that in match. And I'm like, oh, they have. Yeah, fighting Vipers / Fighters Megamix. When you knock somebody's armor off, it's like boom, 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 and you see them fly across the screen. It's like, that happened in match, and it didn't feel like it was taking away from what was happening in the moment. It just took that moment and went, God damn, because it doesn't happen all the time, you know?
Or in Fighting Vipers 2's case, a nuke will go off or a meteor storm.
A meteor will fall.
Yeah.
Virtua Fighter needs some of that. So moving on from that tournament, Justin was at the Red Bull Kumite in Paris, France. How did that go?
It's the best Street Fighter fighting tournament in the world.
Ooh.
Like I think the whole storyline and what they're trying to do in Red Bull Kumite is just very different. It's literally you're watching a show, and the best part is like the hosts like Li Joe and Rob TV. They're like the main characters, villain and hero.
Nice.
It's not like they took acting school. They're just winging it and everything like that. And the vision that these guys at Red Bull Kumite like. It just feels super good. I love the stage. I think the format as well, the first to 5, single elimination, and you only get to pick your matches literally right there and right then. So there's no studying, there's no like preparing, and sometimes there's people you just don't want to fight. And the matches this time around, I would say it's a lot better compared to the Red Bull Kumite New York, where it's like 5-0, 5-1s. There's a lot of close matches in this Red Bull Kumite, and I thought it played really well.
Okay, so any musings from Paris, because I feel like for me at least it's only been like 3 or 4 years where I really started hearing about big European tournaments.
So the Red Bull Kumite first started in Paris 10 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, but there's always a lot of like tournaments in France. France has like a huge like gaming and anime scene. So like I used to go to like events like Stunfest, and now there's like UFA, and Red Bull is trying to really put a lot of effort into EU, because even in London they have like the gaming sphere in London. They run weekly tournaments there as well too. But yeah, I would say Red Bull in general, they just kind of go everywhere. Like I think 2 years ago they went to South Africa, then before that Japan. So they want to make sure it's never the same place every year.
Right.
But every time they have an event, everybody in that area, the region, they all show up as spectators. So like all the people that you saw like in the crowd, that's literally the FGC in Paris, right? So
that's cool.
I think that's really cool. It's sold out, which is kind of crazy enough. And they had 3 language commentators. They had English, which I was part of. They had Japan. They brought out Japan commentators, and they also had the local French commentators that that the crowd can hear throughout like the whole entire time the players are playing.
Reminds me of like
it was really good.
Reminds me of like WWE, where they would have like the Spanish announce table, then like the German announce table. Like that's cool.
But nobody went through a table in Red Bull Kumite, unfortunately. But the matches were really good because they always choose players based off like their hype levels, not based off their achievements. So I think that's the really, really cool part, because like there's probably some players that were like, people were surprised like they did not get invited. Like Angry Bird was not invited. You didn't see Punk there as well. Blas, who got second place, didn't get invited, but they flew him out to play in like the LCQ to see if he can qualify, and he was upset there. He didn't win to get into the Red Bull Kumite. But just in general, like we're trying to bring as many people around the world, and I think they did a great job with the people that they selected.
Awesome. You didn't try one of those croissants that have a chocolate chip cookie baked into it?
No, I was actually kind of busy. Yeah, I was so busy with like rehearsals and making sure following the directions, everything. By the time we finish each day, it's like 10 p.m. and yeah, France doesn't really sell food past 10 p.m. unless you want a kebab.
Yeah.
Right?
People in Europe go to bed.
Yeah,
they go to bed. Yeah, they literally go to bed. But just being there, I enjoyed my time there a lot, just because maybe I'm older now, so I appreciate more of like the infrastructure, and how like the buildings are not like just skyscrapers compared to like America, for example. But yeah, I enjoyed my time there, just watching, playing, and being part of Red Bull Kumite. Like I just like the storyline. Maybe I'm just like a sucker for that, but it's just really cool that the fact there's like legends versus underdogs, and you know what the grand finals was? Legends versus underdog. Because my whole thing is, oh yeah, the legends are just gonna just beat everybody, and then like it's just gonna be a legends bracket. But it was not the case. It was so anime protagonist type of thing, where Ending Walker was the last underdog and he made it all the way to grand finals, and I'm just like, man, this shit just writes itself. There was no script. It just writes itself, and then you just play along at that point, right, with the storylines and like legends versus underdogs and everything. So I think that was really cool.
So while CEO goes very literally on the wrestling influences, I kind of like the idea of light themes being used, like almost like, again, to make the comparison, like pay-per-views for wrestling. Yeah. Like, like every wrestling event like has, it's like Royal Rumble or like
Royal Rumble,
TLC and
Survivor
stuff.
Series.
I like Legends versus, that
was cool.
Like rookies, not rookies, but Legends versus like upstarts or whatever. Like,
well, the story of it's neat is that you get a chance to prove, Like, show us that you're better.
And then Evo is like the WrestleMania of the year, like it kind of leads up to that. It's cool.
To be real, like I've also done same stuff. We did that when Ultimate Marvel 3 had a tournament, because there was the whole thing, people talking about their current era of online players is so much better than the real lifers that were playing like back in the day. The online players are so much better. Like there was this big argument. So it's like, okay, let's find out. Like, let's put some money on the line. Let's see what happens. And yeah, of course, the reigning current Evo champion still won in that situation. But now that story is likely very different, or is different based on, how things have gone over the past few years. So that's an interesting thing of just like, these are pretty much two different communities sort of like fighting each other in the same game.
I was going to say, I'm not saying that like two players have to like be fighting in Street Fighter 6 while on ladders. I'm not saying like stuff like that. Just like, themes of the brackets of the tournament is just like a really cool concept to me.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the Legends list, you would just think there's no way.
Right.
None of them are losing. Yeah.
There was no way the underdogs would win at all. But a lot of the first round matches were either the Legends 1, Underdog 1, Legends 1, Underdog 1. So the second round bracket was still Legends versus Underdog across the whole board. So it was evenly split for a good amount of the bracket.
So, Justin, just to throw this out, you have to be thinking from the perspective of like Capcom and Street Fighter 6 as a product, right?
Yeah.
They made a game that allows like that to happen, right? Like the whole situation of like the Ryu kid showing up at Capcom Cup and obviously having history of Street Fighter and being very good, but having like, their moment in that game, from like the way the game is designed to the same point where we're talking about before of just like, how the game boils down to these situations. You feel like that's very intentional, because what it's done is has it allowed the community to grow and allow that? Because even to me personally, I see these people that are like mad good, and I'm like, I don't know if all these people started with Street Fighter 5 or Street Fighter 6, dude. I think many of them are actually Street Fighter legacy players from like 10 years ago, and many of them are just like still good now. Like, for example, the Ryu kid was a really good Street Fighter 5 player. And we all know 6 is like a sequel to Street Fighter 5 2, but better. So do you think that that's like an intentionality from Capcom about the high level, or is that, do you think that's been like that important for it?
It's probably the timing, because Blas is 15, so when he was playing Street Fighter 5, that means he must have been like, what, 10, 12?
He was like 10.
Damn.
Yeah.
Right.
But he was like good. Like,
yeah.
He was high ranked.
So I think at that time, the parents probably was like, this is just a hobby, right? I'm not going to travel around the world and take you to a tournament, because you have to think about how much money they earn in Chile is obviously third world country. So it might be way too expensive to just be like, all right, me and Blas are going to fly. Me and my son are going to fly out to America, to Las Vegas. That's probably
that has to
like
be worth it.
Yeah, it's so expensive at that point. So I think because Street Fighter 6 came out and they focus a lot on online world warriors,
sure,
that gave them an opportunity to travel, because then they don't have to spend from their own dime.
Exactly.
Street Fighter 5 didn't really have that world warrior system yet, because it was still, majority of it was offline.
I see.
But then they tried to do online, but I don't think they like were able to.
But the problem is that it's SF5.
Yeah,
it's SF5 online,
SF5 online, not the best, and it was still 32 players at Capcom Cup. Now it's 48. So they opened 16 up more spots for Street Fighter 6, and the online's a lot better as well too.
So as much as it might seem like the narrative is that, the game by design is allowing, quote unquote newcomers, which I'm just echoing and parroting what people would just say. The game is made for new players specifically, and I'm like, I don't exactly agree with that, dude, because the onboarding process of Street Fighter 6 as a game, and you just to learn its systems, doesn't just come naturally. Like, it's got a lot of systems that you have to like figure out and engage with, and if you don't, you die. So it's like, this game doesn't feel inherently super casual friendly outside of like modern mode stuff, which clearly was going for that,
Yeah, I think the only players that are like Street Fighter 6 players are probably all like of the VTubers and the big influencers in Japan, for example.
That makes sense.
They're probably like Street Fighter 6 players, because all of them are mainly playing modern, like you mentioned.
Yes.
And the only person I could think of that's like playing competitive now that started from 6, because I don't think they've ever played 5, was Enzo the Hokage from SoCal. Like, he's like, I think 13 years old now, and I never heard of him 5. People never talked about him ever playing 5. So like I only heard of him playing 6. So maybe he might be the only like kind of like anomaly throughout. Because like Noah the Prodigy, he's killing it, but he's been playing since 2011.
Noah's legacy, bro. Like he just started very young. We all know who he is.
Yeah, he's been playing since 2011, Marvel 3. He got like the Rising Star Award at EVO. Yeah. And now like he's killing it in Street Fighter 6. He's not a Street Fighter 6 like prodigy. He like literally played fighting games from Street Fighter 4 to Street Fighter 5 to Street Fighter 6.
Yeah, and other things in between, you know, that we know of. Yeah. So yeah, I think what you mentioned is probably more representative of what is actually happening, of like all these new heads that are showing up. It's not exactly a story of possibly the game is intrinsically allowing this to be so. To be real, I see a lot more of like the dominating players from Street Fighter 5 are still the best players at Street Fighter 6. Like the majority, like Punk especially, like the ultimate Street Fighter 5 player. Like, oh yeah, he's really good at 6, dude, because there's a lot of carryover. There's a lot of stuff that you learned in that game that directly carries over to here. But what you mentioned about the Pro Tour, how the Pro Tour specifically goes out of its way to allow the quote unquote online warrior, to allow the world warrior aspect of it to show up. Those are the things that it's an organizational logistics thing that might be allowing these stories to even happen.
Yeah.
I think also like a lot of companies like post COVID were kind of like, yeah, let's make sure that we, you know, support online stuff a little bit more, just, you know, just in case, because maybe more people are accustomed to playing online. And like, you know, that goes for a lot of video game genres as well, like just to make sure that is supported thoroughly. Speaking of support, Namco has maybe not been supporting the Tekken.
I don't want to talk about this.
You know what I'm talking about? You know what?
Listen,
there's not really much to talk about.
We talked about a bit of it already before we got to this, but
just
all I know
talked about it so much. I want to hear you guys. What's going on? What's going on from you guys in this space? I talk so much about it.
100%. Just people are upset.
Yeah, I know people are upset, and I remember Namco said we're prioritizing defense.
Yes.
In season 2 of Tekken, I remember them wording that, and then once season 2 came out, everyone is like, "What did they do?" Because it says offense. I see all these characters have these new moves that are obviously super important because, like, for example, like I was looking at Feng Wei, and I play Feng Wei.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, he looks like he's Lei Wulong now because everything about him is a stance. Yeah. Right? You just go in a stance and you do stuff.
Everybody became a stance character.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Every character became a stance character, and it just boosted their offense even more. And then Anna came out, and I was playing Anna. I'm like, damn, Anna seems kind of cheap because she has like this weakened missile where it gives her more chip damage. Yes. And then it actually became a fact where she's actually a buggy character where she just steals characters' moves, and she could do pretty much the same bullshit Jack could do, and she could do it to back to Jack. So I don't know what's happening.
Okay. So I'll put this in the perspective of maybe, because there probably isn't a ton of like hardcore Tekken listeners, but there's probably a lot of at least people that know 2D games and Capcom games that watch this. Mm-hmm. So you know how Street Fighter 5 works, or Street Fighter 6. You know how Street Fighter 6 works. I'm gonna put this in comparison. Street Fighter 6 devs are like, hey, here's the season 3 Super Street Fighter 6. We're really going to focus on, you know, the parts of the game that aren't working for us, which is the game being maybe a little bit too overly aggressive. There being too many like guesses from like a rock, paper, scissors at a high level. So we look forward to you playing our patch. And then the patch comes out, and parrying now takes away Gray Life. You can now get throw loop from anywhere. Doesn't need to be in the corner. Anywhere. Every character can do it. You can also get burned out without the corner anymore. You don't need the corner bounce to burn out.
Automatic stun, huh?
Just stun. You just get stunned.
All right.
Let's see what else could be there. Air drive rush was added. Air drive impact was added. We also added air parry so that anti-airs don't, you know. That's and we also made it that every character, what they're really good at, is still really good. In the case of Akuma, we're gonna give Akuma normal health. Yeah. We'll give Akuma normal health. We're going to maybe raise his damage a little bit because we want him to actually be high damaging. We're going to make Demon 0 frame startup full screen. Like, this is the Tekken 8 Season 2 patch to Tekken players. I'm not kidding you.
Like, I mean, I've been seeing it. I've been seeing the discourse is crazy because the fact that Tekken 8 players are going back to Tekken 6, Tekken Tag 2, Tekken 5 DR, like that's when you know like that the Tekken 8's bad.
Tekken 3DS.
I can't it's the weirdest patch I have ever seen in the history of me being involved in not just one FGC for like one game, like many, like 10 to 15 over my span of being a content creator, deeply keeping up with where this game is going, what the developers are doing, what the community feels about it, you know, echoing what the community feels so that maybe the message can be pushed even further. Yep. Like 10 to 15 in my lifetime of being a content creator. This is the weirdest one. I have never seen anything like this.
You know, I totally wish that they did not remove where you take chip damage off breaking throws, because I wanted to see how chaotic it would have been if they just kept that in.
Oh no, it's in there.
It's already chaotic. No, they removed it.
That fix is coming in an emergency patch.
Oh, it didn't come yet. It didn't come yet. Oh, okay. I thought they removed it.
People have to play this shit for like 3 weeks. So we're currently playing that game. To be real, the throw break thing is crumbs on the floor compared to the absolute insane mess that is on the counter and all over the place in the rest of the house. That's like crumbs on the floor by comparison.
So this is like Rainbow Edition Tekken.
Yeah.
It practically is, where it's like, well, it's Rainbow. It's very hard to describe like what the hell this is doing. To boil it down, Tekken 8 was already a game, and Tekken's a game that's really about fighting the other person, right?
Yeah.
Like you want to get to a point where it's like, I don't have to deal with the character bullshit, and I want to get to the human behind the character, right? So Tekken 8 Season 1 made that kind of hard because characters had really powerful tools, you know, things you had to deal with in heat. There was a lot of mechanical stuff that got in the way of that being there, but it was like a fence. Like you had to figure out how to jump over this fence that was like, okay, character bullshit. And now I'm going to be able to fight the person behind them. Make you feel stupid for doing all that dumb shit with your character, right? Tekken 8 Season 2 built like the Berlin Wall.
Yeah.
And they made it almost impossible for you to fight like the human behind all of this character shit. Where it's like, dude, this game already was so knowledge check heavy and you have to learn in labs so much stuff. All they did was multiply it times 4. So now heat is even crazier. Now this is even crazier. Like, there are ways out of some things, but they're so intricate and specific that it's like, dude, to me, it's like the narrative is that the game got casualized. And in my opinion, dude, I'm a 200-hour casual for Tekken 8, right? I'm 230-hour casual, okay? This patch was made for me. This shit sucks. I feel like I can't learn the game. I feel like there's nothing to learn. Even if I spend 1,000 hours in this shit, what's the end goal? I still have to hold this and make a guess, no matter what.
But
dude,
so it's like
funny.
I then want to ask, is this a example of a dev team saying we're going to do this, this, and this, and just didn't think the player base would play in the way that they are? Like, you know how like Sakurai is like, you know, I'm making Smash to be played in this way. But then people are like, no, we're playing it super serious. We're playing it like this, like the hardcores. Is that what this is? Or is this like a combination of bugs? Like what?
No, so it's not the bug thing is one thing. Bug thing's kind of a goofy thing, right? Yeah, it's actually tied to so just to summarize the bug thing with Anna, the bug thing is that she has like an Easter egg that there's this like slap move she can do.
Yeah.
And the Easter egg historically, from what I understand, is that you can do it back to her. So if she slaps you, you can slap her with like the exact same animation, right?
Yep.
But it was bugged. Like you literally steal the moves of other characters and stuff. You can steal the moves of Anna if you do something after. So Horang is like, ooh, he's like, oh, sexy after.
Yeah. Those were those images.
Yes, it goes both ways. Anna can steal their moves and you can steal that because of a weird coding thing because again, Tekken's based on like legacy code from Tekken 5 and shit, right? It's the same functional game since the mid 2000s. So that's that. The other like overlying big thing here is that the devs said one thing, and I have to give this seems like this gives me a lot of ire. I give the developers credit before Season 2. They were on the right road, bro. Like,
they were, yeah.
Tekken 8 Beta 1 to Beta 2 to launch to all the different updates that were in Season 1, like, they were refining. This heat shit is crazy here. This is maybe too powerful here. This is maybe too crazy here. Maybe that's a bit too much. Maybe this character's doing a bit too much. There were some things that were obviously still mega powerful and like prevented you from playing the game, but they were identifying them and they were being fixed. And to be real, at the end of season 1, we were like, dude, sidestepping is going to get better. This already very offensive game is going to be like, we can now move laterally. And yeah, dude, sidestepping is amazing now. It feels better almost than it ever has in a Tekken game. It's so good. And then the patch comes out and everything about it is sidestepping. Everything about it is that you just hold this stuff, and if you sidestep, you die. Like, wait a minute, what? Like
and everything.
And instead of the game getting, like I said, refined over the past like almost 2 years we've been playing it, right? Because of the betas. Refinement the entire way. Heat is changing. It's getting more manageable. It's making more sense. It's less oppressive. Like, okay, cool. It's like Tekken 8 Season 2 went back to Beta 1. Where they're like, Heat was just, what do you do at the start of a match? Activate Heat, be an asshole. Like that was Beta 1. Heat is so powerful that you just like activate it, hold this shit, bro.
Activate asshole.
That's literally it. Like that's literally what they did. We went back to Beta 1 for some reason. Like what is happening? So instead of like 2 years of refinement, we just threw the whole thing out.
Yeah.
All of a sudden.
It's so confusing.
It's so confusing.
Because Harada and Michael Murray, like, they're super invested in the Tekken World Tour as well too. Like you always see them at the events. They're looking at the results. So them just be like, yeah,
the craziest part is that they acknowledged it, dude. Like they talked about these things in like the Tekken Talk and stuff, talking about these offensive things, how sidestep's going to change. They were not wrong. Like what you're saying was true, but what happened to all this other shit? Like they didn't mention that we're just giving like almost everybody super homing plus on block mids that make you hold 50-50s after. It's like, wait, what?
Character. Yeah,
and
that's crazy.
Like it almost feels like the game was designed by 2 completely different companies.
And as
like
far as I know,
it's genuinely weird.
As far as I know, up till this recording, that there hasn't been any like full on statement or like plan of action of like what we're doing. There's been like a patch.
There's
that
only
they
been
said
one
is coming.
There's only been one, and that was the emergency patch. They said the emergency patch was going to acknowledge especially there's a Paul bug right now where if he does a certain string, you just get hit.
Yeah.
And some other stuff, but they said like other things could be in there. So that emergency patch isn't happening until like the end of April, I think. It's going to take a little bit of time for it to eventually hit. So a lot of people are hoping that, a lot of people are saying the devs acknowledge that something is wrong. And they clearly know. They've been bitter silent also. So which
means that they're gearing up to actually be clear and talk about stuff in the future, immediate future.
Like you thought the Dragon Ball Season 3 patch like went off the cliff. At least with Dragon Ball Season 3, like there was years, 5 years of them giving characters more tools and things getting crazier and crazier and it making sense, and this one really going a bit too far. At least it followed a line that made sense. Dude, like I said, refinement. All of a sudden, we're back to the old shit. Wait, what? Like, it is the weirdest patch I have ever seen. The patch feels like it hates it. It hates Tekken. Like, patch hates Tekken. So we're just going to change it.
Proto patch. So not a patch, but like, what we had before patches. It reminds me a little bit of Street Fighter 2 getting faster and faster and faster. Then bam, Super Street Fighter 2.
Yeah.
And then slower. And then, no, whoops, we made a mistake there in terms of speed. And then, Super Turbo, obviously. So it kind of almost feels
I wouldn't say
there.
This would be, comparatively speaking, like we were in hyper fighting and it was fun and we just turned it into Rainbow Edition. We went further into the stuff that might have been like really annoying. Like, and that's the thing, people try to compare this to like other patches and other games and stuff. I'm like, dude, no other game I've ever played takes the shit that is the most annoying and the most cumbersome and the most unfun about the game and quadruples down on it.
It's a bold strategy.
Everybody agreed that this stuff isn't great. Like, so I had a chat in like Main Man, because he's like a longtime Tekken guy and stuff like that. That's like all he does. So I was having a chat with him about that, and he's like, Max, has this ever happened to any other fighting game? Has this ever happened to Street Fighter or anything like that? And I'm like, yes. Yes, it has. Street Fighter 5 Season 1 exists. Like the amount of have you ever had people be so toxic and so mean-spirited towards the developers and all that kind of stuff? Has this ever happened? And I'm like, absolutely. Like MVCI and Street Fighter V Season 1 were things that 100% happened. I had to professionally cover and, hopefully find a way to communicate the things that suck about it, but might also be good. But, that's really difficult because everybody's mad. So I think this patch in Tekken is comparable to like Street Fighter V Season 1 Fallout. They really... something really bad has happened to like the community. They feel hurt. They feel like sort of betrayed in many ways because they said one thing, delivered another,
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think that's a good summary of where we are right now, which is not like super great for Tekken 8. But yeah, we should move on to maybe the day after we released the last episode. The Switch 2 reveal happened. And Max was happy that he stayed up as early as he did because Soul Calibur 2 for the GameCube was revealed for the GameCube line of releases for the Switch expansion pack. Which never in my wildest dreams, even when they announced there's going to be GameCube games, I still never thought that Soul Calibur 2 would be added.
That wasn't on the list.
That was not.
I had it on my list, right? And the only reason is I was making that list a few days before of just like give some bets on what could happen. And somebody is like, man, I hope that they put GameCube games on MSO. And I'm like, oh yeah, I guess that would be neat. Okay, sure. That would be kind of cool, I guess. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Soul Calibur 2. And I'm like, actually, that would be amazing if like GameCube games showed up. And dude, what if this is the one opportunity they have to bring back this nearly like 20-plus-year-old game that never came back? Like, again, HD Collection only had the PlayStation Xbox versions in it.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, Link and this never existed, man. So, yeah, I put a gift sub bet. I'm like, that would be incredible. That would be absolutely incredible. And lo and behold, it was like the first game they showed off. And then they were like F-Zero GX. And
which is another big one of people going nuts over. So I think there was an article on Event Hubs, but then it just about this particular subject where it kind of opens up the doors where it's like, Bloody Roar Primal Fury, Capcom versus SNK, Easy Operation, like Smash Brothers Melee. Like there's a couple of fighting games you could certainly say, like that'd be really cool if that was added there. The GameCube didn't.
I was surprised there was no Melee. Yeah, I was pretty surprised there was no Melee. Just because like when I see the logo. Yeah, when I see the GameCube logo, I just think, oh, okay,
Melee.
that's Smash
you think of Melee
right away.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Smash's non-inclusion and all that stuff was definitely like felt, right? It felt like almost intentional that they're not hanging out around Smash in some way.
And, they could say that for Christmas. They could say, hey, Smash coming like November.
It has to eventually be like a new Smash for Switch 2, right? That's just...
Yeah, but just like even Melee re-releasing for it. Like
did Smash 64 release on N64 online at all, or no?
I think. Hold on a second.
Yeah, because if not, then I guess it makes sense that Melee is not part of that list.
Online,
the N64.
That's the thing that's throwing me off.
No, Smash 64 never came to NSO. Yeah, 11 months ago, people are complaining. Why won't Nintendo put Smash 64
11 months ago
on their N64 online thing? Yeah. Why is it not there? So people are already complaining.
But then it's still incredible when you think, oh, well, because I've only played like a Switch Online title like with someone online like maybe twice ever, and it worked totally fine. Granted, they weren't fighting games, but it's like Soul Calibur 2 GameCube edition online. I would like love to just see how that plays like connection wise. Like that'd be so much fun because it's like, yeah, you can emulate it for sure, but even then, sometimes I just want to boot it up really, really quickly, and it's never been more scalable.
It's my assumption that the back end of what NSO is doing to make GameCube game works is just like a Dolphin core.
Yeah.
My assumption is that it's just Dolphin doing this stuff,
But that was pretty cool, and even though it makes perfect sense, I just, for some reason, didn't actually anticipate Street Fighter 6 being announced for Switch 2. But yeah, really, why not? If it's being as powerful as it's being touted. And even more importantly than the announcement is the announcement we no longer have to look at Luke's big, stupid Popeye face on a box art because they have that new flashy
art.
piece of art, which I never thought I would live long enough to see. I thought it would be Luke forever on
Luke
every
forever.
version.
Street Fighter 7, 8, 9, 10. Same.
He just gets older on the box art every edition. Like I just kind of resigned.
They also have the new amiibos. That was pretty cool.
They have new Street Fighter amiibos.
Yeah. So I mean, I have Ryu and Ken obviously from Smash, but it's like, I'll grab Kimberly,
Luke,
Kimberly, and
Jamie. The funniest part about the Street Fighter 6 Switch 2 announcement was I just landed in Paris, right? It's Wednesday, 2 p.m. So I'm watching it while I'm like in the taxi. It's like an hour, and then I see my friend message me, and he works at Capcom, and he's just like talking about the Switch 2 review. And I'm like, why are you up at 6 a.m.? Right? There was like, there's a reason why you're up at 6 a.m. And then I just see
an announcement happen.
The Street Fighter 6 Switch 2 announcement. And I'm like, okay, yeah, makes sense. It definitely makes sense.
Yeah. It'll be nice to see how that like stacks up. Like I've seen some comparisons between the PS4 version, PS5, and Switch 2, and it seems like it
looks good.
It's like right in the middle there. Like it's not as bad looking as the PS4 version. Not that it looks bad, but you know what I mean.
I have there's been some on-site reports of people that have played it at some of those Nintendo events that say it feels great. Like apparently like input delay was really low. In fact, potentially the best. But that could be a game-wide change thing in like the season 2 to 3 update, where it's like maybe they found a way to lower input delay even more.
All right, Max. I just can't believe those sources just because of one thing. I forgot which Street Fighter 6 reveal it was. I think it was the season 2. Yep. And they were able to play it, and then they were reporting that throw loops are gone.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Drive Rush was more checkable, but that in reality it just was not true at all.
Yeah.
So I have to wait. I need to try it out myself. I know they're doing the little Nintendo Switch tours around.
In that same vein, this was why a lot of people were dooming on the Tekken 8 Season 2 patch ahead of time, and I was like, you know what, guys, to be fair, I'm giving the developers the benefit of the doubt. I was wrong. Shit, they were right. Shit went south. But I was giving the benefit of the doubt that this community, much less most fighting game communities, do not have historically a great batting record at early information and its effect on the game, like long term, of just like, oh yeah, this character or this thing that's changing is going to change everything. Like, oh God, it's gone. It's best. It's what, like the gut reactions of this stuff is like a 1 out of 10 in terms of how often that is actually correct.
Yeah.
And also when you have these people at these like tour events, like make sure it's someone that knows fighting games that can report accurately on it. Cause I think it was the same situation where it was the season 2 thing, or it was some event like where it was like a very casual audience that was getting experience a game for the first time hands on. And we were hearing some weird stuff. I'm not sure if it's the exact same situation, but staying on the Street Fighter 6 stuff, a lot of people thought Elena would be shown during the Switch 2 reveal. She was not, but
I did too.
Days later, she
technically was. Technically showed her design like a little bit more.
And I remember thinking, I think the same thing Max thought is like, oh, we get to see her gameplay. It's like, nope, we never even got to see her Johnny World Tour teaser trailer.
Man.
It felt like we already had been teased, but I guess not, It
was cool though. Like it's a cool little cutscene that actually happens. And the only thing I thought about is like, there was a weird emphasis on the animals that were in the stage. And like,
they were.
It was kind of almost like, is that gonna be like a thing? How every character like has their own mechanic? As like, is she gonna have animal buddies like that travel to the state? Oh, that'd be so cool though.
No, I don't think so. I think if anything, maybe she'll have like maybe the extreme battles might have more animals. Possibly.
Good call, actually.
Because I feel like we haven't had an update for extreme battles since launch.
Yeah.
So there's no. I feel like they need to spice up a little bit for that.
Yeah,
possibly.
Maybe. So I'm sure it'll just revolve around her healing. Even though we're 2 months away still from the actual launch of her on June 5th, do we want Do we want to revise any predictions on healing again, or are we sticking to?
No, healing is there for sure.
No,
I totally believe healing is there.
Yeah,
I know that it's there.
I just don't think it's. I don't think it's going to be broken because of how meter works in this game.
Yeah.
So it's not like Street Fighter 4 where you could just focus and get Ultra. That's why healing was so cheap, because it was easy to get your.
It was easy to build Ultra.
Yeah, but this game, it requires you to get hit or you hit the opponent. So you're not going to build level 2s like off the ass. 'Cause I'm just assuming healing as the utility super would be a level 2 super.
I'm trying to think back to Street Fighter 4. What also made that so potent? Wasn't Elena's backdash like godlike?
It was really good.
So you could just like at times FADC backwards, or just like focus attack backwards, soak the hit, get like a chunk, and then or jump ins, bink, get out of there, you know?
Yeah, depending on the character you're fighting. But I think the healing was broken because the breakdance move was a hard knockdown. So you just had to
you had to hold it.
It's a force, it's a hold it healing at that point.
Yeah.
With that said, I really like her new design and everything. I mean, of course, a lot of people saying like she should definitely have her famous Street Fighter 3 win pose in there somewhere, like as a taunt
like
or something.
the,
like I love
the 80s
that.
metal one, yeah.
The rotoscoped trace, the Capcom trace essentially to get in there.
I'll say one thing about Elena that this trailer like obviously makes you realize a bit more, and this is the difference between having a character that's rendered in 2D, like Elena was in the past, even in Street Fighter 4 to a certain degree.
Yeah.
I feel like Elena, the capoeira combat style of her gameplay doesn't really like come to a head very much.
Yeah.
She does like capo moves all over the place in SF4 and SFXT and obviously Street Fighter 3, but I feel like it doesn't feel like it's emphasized enough. It's like a thing that just happens, and I feel like I'm getting way more of the capo-ness out of her in this trailer, even though we're not even seeing gameplay yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no.
Yeah,
and I'm wondering if it's like maybe that's just a 2D game thing. Maybe it's like that's more well realized in an Eddie or something like that, or a Christie, where you see the full 3D aspect of all these kicks and legs like going all over the place. So I'm really curious how like a 2.5D modern day capo Elena is going to be executed, how that's going to visually look, and if they're really going to go for all the dance stuff.
It might, they might go harder on the dance stuff, just because if you look at the other returning characters like DJ and Honda,
Much personality.
Honda, yeah, I personally always found Honda one of the most boring characters like in fighting game history, because he just headbutts and that's it.
Yeah,
they gave him so much personality where they actually made Honda pretty darn cool, right? So I would assume they would have the same treatment to Elena as well.
Exactly. And it looks like, I love it that she's like mega tall, or at least the way they're shooting her in those shots. Like she looks like she's 9 feet tall or some shit. So I'm like, okay, let's not take that away from her. She's mad tall.
Yeah, I think she was like 7'1" or 7'3".
Yeah, she rivals Hugo when she stands up, because she's always hunched over, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But when she stands up, it's like, oh my God, she's so tall.
Yeah, it's only like during her win pose, like the start of her win pose, where she's like actually fully standing up. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, since they went so hard on dance stuff for like DJ, like how it's like really incorporated into his character, like way more and everything, I'd imagine they do the same for Elena for sure. Like just being authentic to the fighting style.
Exactly. I'm looking forward to the next season, man. Elena's cool. I know a lot of people like her and stuff, but it's like, bro, it's like I feel like we've known about some of these characters for so long.
Yeah, we have.
Even the longest time before that, it's like this might be like a truly like fresh like spin from this point forward, because we found out about Elena and Mai and Terry, and I think it was Bison, right? Bison was season 2, the first character. Yeah, because Akuma was the last one in season 1. So it's like it's almost been another complete year of us knowing exactly who's in Street Fighter and just waiting for them to show up. It's not revealed like Tekken. We knew everybody like right from the get-go. They show you the whole season pass right at the start. So we're on the cusp of that happening again. Like Elena drops on the 6th, and then Summer Games Fest is right after that.
Yeah.
So I'm like wondering if Jeff is going to take that opportunity, or Capcom's going to take that opportunity to show season 3 with like maybe a bunch of changes and stuff like that in a teaser in some way.
So what
do you remember?
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Oh, I was like, you remember Akuma? When Akuma came out, Bison came out like 3 weeks after.
Yeah, dude, he was like,
so it was like right
we were playing
away.
Bison and we just got done playing Akuma.
Yeah, so it might be similar where Elena, and then 3 weeks later, the first season 3 character comes out.
Just maybe.
So what Max is saying is that he wants silhouettes now. Like for the next season, he wants.
I'm not saying I want that.
You want silhouettes, is what you're saying. You don't want to know in advance.
Bring back Broccoli Man.
Please. Oh, that's such a famous silhouette. So moving on, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 Community Edition finally complete and released for everyone to enjoy. There's 80,000 characters added, I believe. Is that the
829,000 new characters in Marvel 3. Yes.
I think it's actually
we'll start with number 1.
I think it's actually like what, 60 like in total?
No kidding. I think between the collective amount of people that have been adding to this between like Tabs and Cali and like everybody else with like Clone Engine stuff, like I think it has eclipsed 100 characters at least.
Really?
Like 100 total characters that are released in the game. So they've doubled the roster in this time frame, and those are like actual, not halfway dones. There's been a lot of halfway dones we've been seeing for a long time. These are like done. These are actual new characters.
Nice.
Damn. Okay. Yeah, big, huge community effort there. It's been going on for a while, but like, nice to see that's like, you can get it for a complete edition. And you know, obviously, well, I mean, it's still hard to actually get Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Like that's not, is that available anywhere still, or was that taken off? Am I crazy? Am I misremembering?
No, we're cool on Ultimate Marvel 3. That was on sale in the same period of time that MVCI even was on sale when I was encouraging people to buy it for Infinite and Beyond. So yeah, like that, it's still readily purchasable. I've seen it on sale for like $5 every once in a while on PC, but the PC version is where everyone like recommends you go.
Yeah, for sure.
The crazy part is that at almost any point you can go into Ultimate Marvel 3 Q ranked and find people.
Really?
And they're not playing modded. Like
they're not on Parsec.
They're not on Parsec. They're actually playing like normal in-game netcode Ultimate Marvel 3. Like people are actually still playing.
As they
should.
Shout out
it is a forever fighting game. Like we know that about UMVC 3. It's a forever fighting game. People will always be playing it.
It's the purest way to play.
That's crazy, man. That's that netcode kind of goes, you know,
it's
not the
ass,
best,
dude.
Yeah,
that netcode made me hate that game for a very long time.
So the big thing that kind of also happened this week is a lot of Fatal Fury City of the Wolves updates. I think just only like 2 or 3 days after we finished the last podcast, they announced DJ Man, as anyone knows
DJ
him.
Dude.
DJ,
I love DJ Dude.
KSI, I Show Speed, all in game.
Okay, we'll get.
That was a sick trailer. Though.
Was it sick?
It was a roller coaster.
I thought I was on something watching that. That is the most unhinged trailer where I was like, was this directed by aliens? Like that.
It felt
what do you call that?
to me.
What's that meme where they show a scene and they like created by Michael Bay? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I think it.
Right. It's just because it's like a meme where they joke that like this movie's like
like
terrible.
Yeah.
Like it's so out there.
It's so out there.
You know what it was?
I had a huge
2000s.
I had a huge discussion of like I was being critical of that trailer, and people are like, Max, it's clearly like their names are just there to get you to buy the game. It's just marketing. I'm like, thank you for clearing that up for me, that it's just marketing.
Thank you for teaching me.
To me, like it's been my profession in the past, and I'm like pretty deeply passionate about the way fighting games are marketed. Like the execution of the marketing is valuable to me, my dude. Like, and a lot of the stuff that's going on with these real lifers in the game and some of the cross promotional marketing of it makes less sense. Like, and in the same way that like, what was it? Lil Wayne was in Street Fighter for like a second. Like that also felt weird. Like that was okay, he's just around. Okay.
It was totally weird, but at the same time, it was easy to understand. Hi, I'm here. I'm telling you about this game. This was like 7 different things happen. All giant ghost geese shouting at influencers, and there's 2 boxing men showing up.
Yeah.
They have a boxing match coming up. My favorite was the receptionist. She became the T-1000. You saw how she was
those moments were funny as hell. I'll give him. I actually really loved the tongue-in-cheek aspect where everything's sort of like jokey and crazy. I'm like, this is a wild trailer. It definitely comes across as like this is supposed to be a 90s era feeling trailer.
Yes.
Like I get where they're going with it, but at the same point, it's the weirdest part of it to me was that like the inclusion of the YouTubers is, I was like, so are they in the game in some way? Or at the boxing event, is there going to be like, outside of just the name Fatal Fury,
that's what I'm saying,
thing, are they going to be like wearing the clothes? Is somebody getting chucked off a building in the end?
Did you see the New Japan Pro
Tanahashi was dressed as fucking Terry. That was awesome.
Terry and Rock. That was really
they
cool.
had dudes come out like dressed as the characters and shit. So it was like, it was lining up that like, oh, so they're going like full on like professional level cosplay level with this shit. That's crazy, you know? Dude, in this trailer, Terry gets his ass kicked again. Terry has officially become the SNK Sub-Zero of trailers. And now Rock Howard shows up out of nowhere just to get slugged in the face by Boxer McBox-a-lot. Like, it is crazy, bro. Like, these dudes just come in and waste the SNK characters. I'm like, this is something. It feels like in a lot of these trailers, like, we're just going to throw our legacy at these real lifers so they can beat the shit out of them.
Yeah.
Get washed.
It's really weird. The tone of it's very weird.
It feels like there was two trailers happening at the same time. Like there's two different things happening. It's like, here's the YouTubers and here's the boxing match. It's like maybe separating the two and having two different trailers at some point would have made it like more like digestible, because then at that point, why don't you have the New Japan guys show up too? And they're showing up and they're also advertising a future wrestling match. Because it's like, why even stop there? You know, why not have Godzilla in it?
I mean, I think it's because they promote their boxing match. I think they showed on their Twitter as well too that London, if you're on a London bus, they have Fatal Fury London buses just like driving around across London.
Yeah.
So they're going really hard.
They should have a guy dressed as Billy Kane on that.
They're going like the money that they're spending is insane.
Yes, it is. It is definitely an insane amount of money.
They should make a Truckosaurus, a Fatal Fury Truckosaurus, and he shows up at events, and he's like this 50-foot tall metal dinosaur, and he breathes fire.
I'm gonna throw this out.
And he shoots
I'm gonna throw this out.
Yes, please.
I think the execution of things is important.
It is.
An insane amount of money to me is not impressive. I'm just going to toss that out. Just having a lot of money doesn't inherently do it for most people. Like, and I don't think I'm unique there, where it's just like, there is so much money involved here. So what's that going into?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
And in what way does that like improve the game or something like that? Because so far, like Fatal Fury does seem like a more exemplary game than some of the previous ones. But at the same point from what we played in that beta, oh God, like nothing changed from KOF 15. What is happening? Like there has been moments where we're like legit concerned and they got better. And it's like, okay, so that's good. But like, there's a lot of money. There's like a lot of money in this. And it feels like it should be the most like exemplary, biggest fighting game of all time. But it is Fatal Fury. It eventually is boiling down to a game that is like an SNK hardcore game that has not been around for 25 years.
Yeah.
That is already a really niche ass SNK hardcore game. So it seems very odd to me that like the tone of most of its marketing is sort of like anti SNK fan. Like if you're like a legacy SNK fan, it feels like it's there just to make you like, pissed off.
Like here's an example. Street Fighter 4 is coming back. And remember they had all those nostalgic trailers that had like 90s like
go back to mashing buttons with Chun-Li and shit.
I forget what band it was, but they had like a nostalgic band from the 90s or whatever associated in a trailer. And it's like Fatal Fury's coming back too. So it's similar after like 25 years. That's even bigger gap than there was between Street Fighter 4. But imagine Street Fighter 4 is coming back and then it's just like, here's Timothy Chalamet. He's in the game. Like it's one thing if it's a DLC character or an NPC or something that's in like season 6 of DLC.
Yeah.
You know, but like establishing the brand for the first time in 25, like technically 26 years and throwing real lifer shit into it just feels like a little
it's kind of crazy.
Totally confused.
Base roster is actually crazy.
Yeah.
And it's like this isn't new to like, it's mostly new to fighting games. Like this is a very unique thing that's happening here, but it's like this isn't a weird thing when it comes to gaming in general. Like when Bandai Namco does this all the time. Call of Duty does this all the time.
To Call of Duty, it's crazy.
But even in like Bandai Namco's case for stuff that we're sort of adjacent to, like there was Elden Ring promotion and there was like Armored Core 6, and they got like like Brian Cox. Like, what the fuck does he have to do with Armored Core? Oh, turns out he's like one of the best people to like break down the story for you because he's like a great storyteller, great voice. So it's like, oh yeah, a game that's going to focus on the story elements. We're going to get a storyteller to get in here.
He did Tekken 8 story summary.
Yeah, that was it. It was the Tekken 8 story summary. And it was like weirdly like it was kind of weird, but also kind of cool. It was sort of hype. It's like, damn, Tekken story is kind of sick, even though it's the cheesiest shit ever. Like, it makes you feel differently about something.
Then I gotta love it. Yeah.
To me, it's like in that way, they're trying to like Bandai Namco is trying to bring a bit more respect to the Tekken story by getting somebody deeply like classy to like show you, oh, this story is this way, you know. And in Fatal Fury's case, it is, and it's working 100%. Like Ronaldo and DJ McDood's a lot, and you know, IShowSpeed, KSI, like all these big names, a giant boxing event. They are clearly not going for people that even play like video games. Like, it's crazy because like Fatal Fury is one of the most video gamey as fuck fighting games there is.
Yeah.
It isn't a Tekken situation where it's like, bro, I'm going to take the capoeira guy versus the kung fu dude. And like, there's a bit of like casualization there in general, you know? In Fatal Fury, it's like the most like, it's like the most nerdy fighting game, like sort of thing. Like SNK games are the most like geeky, nerdy. Like this is for fighting game fans, dude. Fighting game fans love this shit. It's so disconnected. It's so like, we don't want to take the steps of growth here. We just want to go bam, like only up here, and then we're there. It's like
if this was happening for Call of Duty, I wouldn't bat an eye because it fits. Because Call of Duty for what, like
Call of Duty's casual as fuck, dude.
And for 4 years they've been adding celebrities, like a bunch of like rappers and sports guys and pop culture. Like the Ninja Turtles are in Call of Duty,
like the
and Snoop Dogg.
The theme of like the old Call of Duty commercials with big celebrities walking around, you know, like Avatar, like Black Ops 2, like Avatar guy was walking around with some comedian. But the whole point of it, like the theme of this shit is that like everybody plays Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Like that's the whole point. Your mother, your grandmother's mother, like everybody that you know is going to be buying this thing. Join us on this day. Celebrities will be there too, you know? Like, I don't. And then there's like the moments in the trailer. Come join the millions of people playing, you know, SNK games online right now, and it's
millions.
That's a tough call, right?
I'm like, all right, dude. KOF 13. That is definitely not the case.
Well, fortunately, at least it seems some money is going into some other features that they teased during the Evo showcase.
Oh, yeah.
Hokutomaru was obviously announced as the final character of the default roster. And me not being a big Hokutomaru fan from Garou, like I did play him a little bit.
That redesign's great.
The redesign is really solid.
So it's so good. I actually hated him in Market Wolves. I feel like he didn't have nothing to offer as a character, but they really gave him a lot. Like they pushed him pretty hard, and it really shows like his combos, his double jumps. Like it plays a big factor in like the beta meta that people were playing, right?
Sure.
So I love the fact that he was just really different. That's the really cool part.
Yeah.
I'm really curious how this game's going to be on launch, like how the balance is, because we got a very different game from beta 1 to beta 2 in terms of like changes and stuff.
Yeah.
So some characters maybe not so much, but even systematically there were some differences. So I'm like, I'm curious what the hell the final game is going to be like. Like what the hell the mechanics eventually land at, you know?
Yeah, and
I don't see the mechanics being changed at all. Probably just characters and little buggy stuff that people were playing in beta 2, but I feel like the mechanics are just going to be as sound as possible, because even when you're looking at the Evo showcase, they were showing like during the breaks, they were showing how to play Fatal Fury State of Wolves, right? And they talked about how, oh yeah, if you just defend guard cancel, it spends meter, right? So I'm like, and I know people were saying how they want that to actually be 0, but it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case.
No, they're treating just defend and like hyper defense like it's a perfect parry situation. So even if you hyper defense or that stuff, the damage is severely scaled after it if you do it. Because it got even easier to do in beta 2. Like they loosened it up by like a frame or two. So I was like, this is not nearly as hard as it was before, I felt. And
Mark of
and
the Wolves is super hard. Yeah,
it's super hard. But even in like beta 1 and earlier builds, it was much more difficult to do. And I'm like, this feels a bit easier to hyper defense like and JD cancel after. Like I feel like this got easier to do. I don't know why.
Or maybe we just got better.
That's
because
true.
we're looking for it now.
That's true. Because it's one of those things where you can't really like act in the moment. You got to have some premeditative like
exactly.
Okay, I'm going to be ready. Bam. You know. So that's a good point. Even more justification why the damage should probably be nerfed after. Because if we've barely played this game and we're already doing
we can do it now. Yeah, that's crazy.
It's going to be old. People are not going to want to attack each other. You know.
Yeah.
Are they going to be able to attack each other freely via the 2-lane line system?
Okay, Matt, are you in love with the lane system?
I am in love with the idea of the lane system. Depending on the classic game that you play, sometimes it's really cumbersome and sometimes it actually adds quite a bit. And the way they seem to be treating this is that certain stages will have the lane system available. You don't have to use it. I think it's done by holding like the rev meter, the rev guard, and then pressing face buttons. But like beyond that, I'm not really sure. But like the fact that they're putting it in at least makes me really appreciate that this just isn't a direct sequel to Mark of the Wolves. This is like, hey, let's, Fatal Furies of the past. Let's acknowledge them.
They are 100% going the Street Fighter 4 route with this. There's been too much time that has passed in between where this needs to feel like a Gauro 2. Like, no. This is like a new vision for what Fatal Fury can be. You know?
Yeah. Like if this game had came out 5 years after original Gauro, whatever, it can be a direct sequel. But like, and that's it. Like no more, no less. But then after like 26 years, and that's exemplified even further, where I'm still reeling from that news. The line system will be back for certain stages. So I'm thinking of it more like Interactables and MKX. Like
we don't know if it's going to be even playable online, right?
It probably will be playable, like kind of like how Extreme Battles is.
Like Extreme Battle in Street Fighter. You'll be able to play it in like casual matches or something.
Yeah, casual matches, or if they have like their own hub system, like Battle Hub or whatever.
But
so maybe that.
I could not. I was picking myself off the floor when I hear Kaiser at SNK say, and maybe in the future you'll be able to knock characters out of bounds. Maybe
that was cool.
Yeah, that was cool.
Anyway, I was
they went hard. That's the kind of stuff where you look at like a ridiculous amount of money and it's going into the game, right?
Yeah.
And the weirdest part is that like the way that is marketed of like this is the most like feature rich goddamn SNK game you've ever seen. My dude, I don't feel like that has been marketed like nearly
presented
at all.
That well, is it?
It's not presented that. It's like this is actually a big defining feature of what will sell this game for a lot of people. Like that, like dude, most of those SNK games you've been buying over the past 10 years do not really have that much content. You play them online and that's about it.
Yeah. And like look at this silly fun feature that like people will like laugh at, out of bounds, whatever it could wind up being. But also that, like something that's maybe not being presented well is just kind of, again, the casual announcement, I believe Oda said it, where it's like, we're going to be putting almost every fan favorite Fatal Fury character back into the game. Now, almost definitely means that there's some characters that maybe are like dead and they just can't, or like for whatever logistical reason, but like almost all, because even though we have the final default roster and the season 1 roster, there's still 2 notable omissions from Garo, which is Jaehoon and Freeman. And that's all kind of weird. That's like, oh yeah, now that they're not in the default roster, they're not going to be in season 1. It's even weirder that they're going to be in season 2 or maybe in the future after that. But that's still like a big announcement. And it's just kind of like thrown
That's super huge.
It's a big deal for like, for what are like the SNK heads. And like the thing is, I don't even consider myself an SNK head. A lot of people are propagating me as being that just because it's like, I want this company to find success. I don't agree with their marketing things, but I've like been trying to help them for 10 years find that success to get the audience to improve things in the game where like an SNK game in comparison to the other fighting games is a legit option where it's like, dude, if this stuff is pissing you off about this shit, you need to play KOF 15. You need to go play Fatal Fury. You should be, if you don't like Street Fighter 5 right now, or Street Fighter 6, sorry, you should be checking out Fatal Fury. Like that, this game is, a lot of stuff will translate over, and it's a different game though. So I don't know. To me, it's like, I want them to like lean in on that. I want them to lean in on getting the community on their side. Instead, most of the budget is going into the complete opposite. Like it's just complete normie. People that maybe own Fortnite, you know, like maybe you played Fortnite or some shit, or Minecraft. Like we're trying to get them.
They're hoping IShowSpeed boots up Fatal Fury one time. Just to play Ronaldo and have everybody else watch the stream try to snipe him online.
Exactly.
That's literally what they're banking on, right?
But
That's what they're banking on, yeah.
But also, even though the Evo Showcase had some fun high-level matches, like, you know, here's all this fun stuff you can do, I still think, like, there's, like, you know, a week and some change left before the game launches in the early access version. I think it's on the 21st. That maybe there should be a big trailer that shows, here's the single-player modes, because the public doesn't know what episodes of Southtown is. Like, show off color edit that we saw once in one trailer. And that could be a really cool thing. Like, make your own colors, you know?
If you look at SNK's YouTube right now, they're only showing how to play this character in 4 different languages.
Yeah.
Right? That's kind of what they're
weirdest, dude, like, until that Evo Showcase, we hadn't seen half these characters do anything.
Yes.
Like we saw Kevin like once at Evo and never heard from
Never again. Yeah, Billy Smug was using Billy. Kim
Finally, we see what Billy does. You know,
Kim Dong Hwan, and then we saw Gato for the first time being playable. I
feel like we hadn't seen Marco since Summer Games Fest, where we were playing him, and it's like,
at all.
Let's see how he changed. You know, it's like, and instead they focused on like all of these trailers that were around the characters we've seen a billion times before. More Rock, more Terry stuff, more of like the existing characters. Yes, exactly. And it's like, why does it feel like the game's already out? Like, why does it feel like we're just regurgitating some of the stuff we've already seen before? To me, I want to see some of the new stuff.
It's a little bit of Street Fighter 6, where it's like we're used to seeing the same sort of things that you're showing in the marketing cycle a little bit. It's like, well, there are some things you didn't show that you previously announced that we haven't seen in a while, like Elena's
like they forgot about it.
Yeah, like we saw a tiny bit of her in like, you know, artworks or whatever, and it's just like, okay, I want to see more of it. And it's almost like we know Gato's in the game. You showed a brief trailer, but it's like, you know, he hasn't been made available. And I know we've talked about this, like every build that they show, that they're like, we want to have a couple of core characters that will always stay in these builds, and maybe we'll cycle 1 or 2 in, but like it wasn't enough. Like we still didn't get matches for a lot of characters, and now we're just gonna have to like, you know, sort of get on our feet when the game actually launches. But there's all this stuff. It was like a lot of cool news, but like, you know, they just kind of announced it like just like audibly, like, but didn't have, you know, like an actual trailer to show what it's about. And it's like, you know, that's fine if this was 2 months away from launch, but no, we're like a week and a half from launch.
We're close.
Yeah.
You know what close. I feel bad for? I feel bad for the marketing team. And that sounds weird, but think of this. You have what almost feels like limitless resources to sort of grab what appears to obviously be an audience that is way different than the traditional SNK audience. And you're given almost limitless resources to do so. But you have so many, like in that vein, you have so many checklists and things that you have to do and hit. We have to like try to grab this audience, that audience, make this people happy. Like it's almost too much, where most marketing is a laser focus on like this part. This game feels like it's going for this huge sandwich, right? Instead of just laser locking on like the middle and like, let's get them and let's expand a little bit. It has to do this. Yeah. So it's like, I know how like marketing in these situations work. That seems extremely challenging. It seems like, bro, they need like a Disney level marketing team to be handling it. You need like 100 people to be managing this shit. And we know 100% like global SNK operations doesn't exist that much. Like they don't have like an absolute massive, you know, local American headquarters, maybe like they do in Japan or something like that. Like, so it seems daunting. It seems like, dude, they're really throwing everything out there. And it feels like, because we're so connected to what fighting games are, that some of the parts that we're the most interested in are being like legit almost ignored. Where it's like, yeah, we're only going to have to focus on the big picture. It's going to be too hard to look at this stuff. We're just going to go for the biggest picture possible.
So this is a really good point, and it really reminds me of, because I just put out a video about the making of the Street Fighter Van Damme movie, right? And why was that movie even greenlit? Because Capcom was preparing a gigantic marketing blitz for Super Street Fighter 2 hitting home consoles. So they had to have the live action movie, they had to have the animated movie show up in theaters in Japan. They had to have a comic book run. They had to have the G.I. Joe action figures, and everything was more or less centered around the G.I. Joe action figures because that's where you potentially would make the most money. Right?
Yeah, the Americanized aspect of it.
Yeah. So like it reminds me of that a little bit, but then even back then, like, you know, marketing was still like a bit more humble in the sense of like you didn't have to have all the online presence and stuff. You didn't have to have like constant trailers of things and showing everything. And like I think even back then, Capcom's marketing department was probably bigger than SNK's is today, potentially.
Oh yeah. No, dude, Street Fighter at that time was like a severe multi-billion-dollar
at that
like
point,
thing.
Yeah.
Like they were like the biggest thing on the planet. Like people don't most people weren't born, so we have to let them know. Arcade era Street Fighter 2 was like global. Like this was like man landing on the moon. Everybody's playing this shit type of thing, you know?
Yeah. This had Hollywood executives all just knowing this Street Fighter thing is big. I don't know what exactly it is, but it's
don't know
big,
what it is. Who cares?
They have a ton of money and they're willing to spend and blah 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 blah. Let's just try to ink a deal. I don't care what it is. It's fighting. I don't care. There's a green man. I love it.
I don't care.
I love green men.
Just get Jean-Claude on the case. He has 3 movies in 1993. He can be in it, you know, whatever.
He does a Blanca ball. I love balls.
Ooh.
What was with the ball thing? I still don't quite understand
I don't know.
it. It's just
I don't know. I don't understand it either. I don't get it.
Just as a lifetime ball lover, you know, you're just.
I mean, all I got to say is that the spherical shape is just very impressive to me.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Respect.
So that was a big blowout on Fatal Fury stuff. And if people didn't catch our last episode, TKO will be ending next month sometime. We still have like probably a roundup review of City of the Wolves when it comes out. That'll be a next episode with a special
talk about it a bit.
Guest. For sure.
And again, like just as a reminder, like in the moments where I've been critical of all this kind of stuff, it's like I think the biggest reason we might be critical of the way these things are being handled is because we see that they can be better.
Yeah.
Like we see in situations that there's a lot of support and obviously a lot of money behind this stuff, but it feels like certain aspects are just not lining up with what could potentially make all sides happy. What could potentially make like the legacy SNK heads happy as well as like new SNK heads in comparison. So I don't know. It's like the whole point is to move forward and try to like do something and educate and remind people in a way why this isn't hitting, why this might not hit as much as you think it is. Because to many people, Ronaldo and DJ Dudes a lot are like the biggest thing that could happen to the game ever. And it's only but nothing but good things. But there's an entire other half of the community that is like, this real lifer shit sucks, dude.
Yeah.
Like people, and I get it. Like I completely sympathize. You know, you include real life people into a game and you don't just only include their popularity, you're bringing their history with them. So that is a thing that happens when real lifers are added to fighting games. Maybe this isn't the best idea.
And you have to also remind yourself that like even if there's examples of this being better tailored for it, like let's say Justin mentioned New Japan. If they had added Tanahashi, a really well-known New Japan wrestler, into the game, I would have loved that a bit more personally because it's wrestling. It makes sense.
Yeah.
But
they're practically fictional characters already, my dude. Like they're wrestlers.
They are, but I have to remind myself there's a whole lot of people that do not give a shit about wrestling. So they would also be like, yeah, I'm not really into that. And even fucking Kenny Omega has done some promotion for Fatal Fury, City of the Wolves, and it's like, would I have loved Kenny Omega to be in this game? Absolutely, but there's lots of people that don't know who he is, so it always.
I was already waiting for John Cena to be the last.
You called that, didn't you? You were like, it's gonna happen. John Cena.
I mean, if you just have 2 guest characters, you might. I'm like, who's your final character? Another guest character? Well, that's what I would assume. So I was like, nah, we're gonna have John Cena for sure.
But Justin, if you boot that game up and you try to select him, it's just like an empty slot.
No, he's a heel now.
Oh, that's true. You can see him now.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
there's a crazy quote from Oda, I think, of all developers, right? So like high-end SNK a couple of years ago, that is like talking about guest characters in games and how they say they've always wanted to put this really specific guest character in a game, and that character is Michael Jackson into a fighting game. And as much as I'm like an old school, grew up with MJ, yeah, he was a god in the 80s, but a lot of crazy shit happened over time, okay?
Sure, yeah.
Maybe we don't do that. Like,
maybe Oda was a big fan of Ready to Rumble.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, we want to let's go get Hillary and Bill in there while we're at it, okay?
Yeah, Michael Buffer. Man, like even though we complain about like, guest characters maybe getting out of hand, it's always been out of hand. Like you go back to Ready to Rumble or a couple of other weird ass games in the late 90s, early 2000s. Like there's some weird shit that happened. There's a ton of it, so it's the same as it's always kind of been. It's just in a different form now, I guess. But yeah, we're going to be winding down the podcast, but I hope you guys have all enjoyed it once again. And it's been a great ride. And that now there's just like there's too much fighting game news, and now we can't even keep up with it. Especially on
too much shit, and we're like
too much shit.
On the cusp of even more stuff possibly getting announced. So it's like we're in this middle period where all the games are getting updated, and it's like, so what about all the other games that could be potentially out there too? What the hell's Arc System Works working on? What the hell is going on over here? Like, we don't know.
You know what's gonna
what's gonna happen? By the time this podcast goes out, like we're gonna have Sea the Wolves already come out, and we have the 2FKO Alpha Labs 2 during the same time frame, and there'll probably be maybe more announcements after that.
And the day after our last podcast goes out, they're going to announce KI 2025, aren't they?
There you go. That's it.
Okay,
That's how the show ends right there.